Hi! In this video, we'll look at how to use the DirectTo function of the Garmin G1000 in the Cessna 172. We'll use it to navigate from one airport to a VOR and from one airport to another airport. I'll be using little NavMap as part of this tutorial. If you're unfamiliar with this wonderful navigation utility, I'd highly recommend watching my 3-part series on using the application. It's linked in the description. It's not required to carry out the navigation functions that are illustrated in this video, but it's certainly worth checking out to make your life easier in the sim, and hey, it's free. Additionally, you'd be well served to watch my video on navigation using a VOR, and that video is also linked in the description. Alright, here we are ready to take off at Kilo Victor November Yankee in Los Angeles, California. We're on runway 34 left, and we're going to navigate to both a VORTAC and to another airport. Before we do that, let's have a look at what these two destinations are relative to us and what our minimum cruise altitude should be. I'm just going to say KVNY since we're not on a radio here and we don't need the phonetic alphabet. So here is KVNY. We're going to initially set a DirectTo for the VORTAC located here, named the Fillmore VORTAC, has an ID of FIM. In my VOR video, we set a nav radio to the frequency of the VOR, or VORTAC in this case, but GPS doesn't care about that, and instead we'll use the ICAO identifier of FIM. Based on the sectional for this area, we can see that the maximum elevation figure for getting there is about 5,200 feet since we have to clear some mountains. The VORTAC is a little over 20 nautical miles from KVNY, and a bit to the southwest of the Fillmore VORTAC is the airport that we'll navigate to, KCMA. KCMA, or Camarillo Regional Airport, is about 14 nautical miles from the Fillmore VORTAC. As the crow flies, it's about 30 nautical miles from the KVNY airport. Alright, let's get to flying. Back in the 172 here, I'll remove the two yokes and zoom in on our PFD here. Notice that by default the alert is flashing caution and the display is indicating an issue with the standby battery. The reason for this is I have the aircraft at idle and the engine isn't rotating fast enough to activate the alternator to run the electronics and charge the battery. So I'll increase the throttle just slightly, still keeping it below 1000 RPM, and these two conditions are now resolved. Over on the lower right of the PFD are the FMS controls, and we'll be using this button here to set the GPS to point to the navigation location of our choosing. Notice that the course deviation indicator is set to GPS by this indicator here. As an aside, the ENR enunciator here is for the flight phase, and currently ENR indicates en route. If I click on the soft key for the CDI down here like this, we can cycle between the two VORs associated with the two nav radios, or the GPS CDI, which is what we'll use today. Clicking on the DirectTo button, we get the DirectTo interface that allows us to enter an ICAO ID for our destination. Bear in mind that using DirectTo will create a direct path on a radial to the specified destination. It's not a flight plan in the traditional sense, just a direct path. Notice that the top left entry field is flashing to indicate it's ready to take input. I'll hover my mouse over the FMS knob here and use my mouse wheel to select the first character of the ID for the Fillmore VORTAC. That's going to be the letter F. Then I'll move my mouse to the outer portion of the knob and click it to move to the next position. Sometimes it's easier if you move the knob over into the display more to actually get it to allow you to adjust the outer portion. Once again, I hover over the center of the knob and use my mouse wheel to select I, and repeat for the final letter of the ID, M. Now I click the Enter button to indicate that I'm done, and the G1000 asks me to confirm that I want to activate a direct route to the ID I've entered, and I click Enter once again to confirm it. The CDI now has the correct bearing to the Vortec, and at the top of the PFD we can see that it's indicating the bearing and distance with the ID for the DirectTo's location. The CDI will function exactly the same as if you were on a radial for the VOR navigation system. Okay, let's do the same thing for the KCMA airport. I'll click on the DirectTo button and enter K, C, and M, and as you can see, the G1000 already knows that I'm attempting to route to KCMA. So we click Enter when we get the activate, we click Enter again like so. Just as before, our ID, distance, and bearing are indicated at the top of the display, and the CDI indicates a course of 259 degrees. As an aside to all of this, if you have Manage Radio Comms turned on in the AI menu, you'll automatically ask for landing clearance when you're close to your DirectTo destination, assuming it's a towered airport. I'll take off here from KVNY. Let's see if I can keep it centered on the center line here. Now that we're up in the air, I'll slew over to the Camarillo location. We get the usual ATC chatter, and once I'm about 5 miles out from KCMA, it automatically requests and gets landing clearance. Pretty cool. So that's it for this video, just a quick how-to for you. I hope this helps someone out there. If you liked the video, please give it a like, as that really helps. And until the next video, take care.